Hello and welcome back. My name is Sean, also known as ChilliChump. Now when you're gardening, things don't always go to plan and sometimes disaster strikes. I'm going to share with you a couple of disasters I've been dealing with over the last few weeks, and then we're going to take a look around the greenhouses and my garden. A few weeks ago we had some glorious sunshine in the UK, and that meant that my greenhouses were getting up to around about 50 degrees Celsius. Typically, that wouldn't be a problem for my chili plants at that time of year, but if you've been following along with some of my recent videos and my live streams, you'll know that this year has been anything but typical. One of the worst issues I've been dealing with is this large greenhouse. Now, I've had to build it myself, which isn't the issue. The issue is it just didn't come with all the right parts. There were a lot of things missing. There were parts that came that were nothing to do with this greenhouse. There were broken bits. It's been a nightmare, and complete contrast to when I built the Rhino greenhouse, which was an absolute dream in comparison. These plants behind me have been potted up 2 months later than I would normally pot up. Some of them are doing all right. They are a little bit stunted, so they're not as big as they would be at this time of year. Some of them, however, really took it hard with that heat. We can see these plants do not look very healthy, and it's not a nice sight, especially when you spend so much time and love and attention in growing them from seed. Seeing them like this is not fun. This one here you can see is pretty much no hope. This one here, on the other hand, it again looked pretty dead. You can see that there were some peppers coming through, but we can see a little bit of new growth starting off down the bottom here. You can see there's a little leaf right down the base there. A few of the others have a bit more growth than that. This one here again was pretty much dead. You can feel those leaves, they just crumble up. But down the bottom here, we have some new growth coming from the base. Chili plants are amazingly resilient, and some of these will come back. I mean, listen, I'm not going to have huge plants from things like this, but it's fighting back, so I might as well give it a chance. The other healthier looking plants are still not as big as they probably should be at this time of year. These should all be around about 1 meter, 1.2 meters at least, but the majority of them are about 30 centimeters to maybe 50 centimeters. And that's definitely a result of potting up so late. So let's take a look at a few of these plants and see how they're doing. This plant is my red flame, and of course I'd like it to be a lot bigger than it is, but we can see some ripe fruits on there, so I will be able to do a checking out chilies episode with these, and of course I can save some seeds so we can grow it properly next year. This here is a Carolina Reaper, and it was potted up just on a month ago, I'd say. And again, very tiny. We've got some fruits coming through and falling off, of course, because why not? But there are a few bigger ones coming through as well, and we'll definitely see some bigger ones a little bit later in the season. But yeah, just so frustrating seeing this when the plant should be so much bigger. Let's take a look at a couple of the ChilliChump Seedkit plants. This one here is the Reaper crossed with the Douglas, the F4. And as you can see, we have some peppers already. They're a bit smaller than I would expect them to be, but again, it's just down to the fact that these were potted up so late. But this plant, I think, will bush out quite a bit still through the season, so we'll come back to it probably in a month's time, and you'll see that it probably would have doubled in size. This here is a habanero orange. No fruits on it just yet. We've got a few flowers probably starting in a little while. But one thing to note, I potted this up as well a month ago, and all the leaves dropped off. These are all new leaf growth over the last month or so. And I'll put a picture up on the screen just to show what it looked like when I did pot it up. But you can see lots of new leaves. So it's quite resilient. Hopefully we get a few peppers off here and I can keep the seeds. Another one from the ChilliChump Seedkit is my Ancho Poblano, and we can see we have a Poblano there. It's not a prize winner. How are your Poblanos doing? Do you have any entries? Actually, it's quite a nice heavy one, but yeah, definitely not as big as some of them that have been submitted in the competition. Make sure you do get yourself submitted, because it's anyone's to win at this stage. This one here is the Erotica, and I'll let you be the judge as to whether you think the name is deserved. There's some interesting peppers on this one. Yeah, funny little shapes. But interesting little plant, and we'll see how they taste once they start ripening. This one here is the jalapeno brown, and pretty obvious why it's called that, because of the brown jalapenos. But I have tried a couple of these. They are not very hot at all, actually. So I'm not sure that I'll grow them again. I think they look good. They look pretty. But yeah, I want my jalapenos to have a little bit of a bite. Let's go have a look at the plants in the other greenhouse. Before we go over there, I'm just going to take you over here. I haven't yet set up my automated irrigation again just yet. What I have been doing is using an old water butt pump inside this. This is just some water that I siphoned out of the IBC over there, siphoned it into here and then mixed in my nutrients, and I used the water butt connected up to my hose and doing this manually for each plant. As you can imagine, it takes ages, and when it was really hot, I was having to do it twice a day, which is not fun, especially when the greenhouse is 50 degrees Celsius. It was pretty hectic. So you'll notice these plants are going to be looking a little healthier because some of them were potted up before the ones that I've just showed you. And yeah, I mean, if we have a look over here, this was potted up probably a month before the ones in the other greenhouse. And yeah, again, they could be bigger. I didn't pot them up as soon as I would have liked, but definitely a lot more growth here than we're seeing in the other greenhouse. This here is my Moruga chocolate, and I have a little surprise for you actually, which I'll show you in just a second. It's a little secret cross that I've been working on. This is another one of my Reaper Cross Douglas F4 from the ChilliChump Seedkit. And what's interesting to note here is these peppers down here were what started in the 1 liter pot before I potted up. And you can see how small they are. They are ripe, but they are tiny. Now, since potting up, the plant's got a lot bigger. You can see it's about 1 meter in height. But you can also see that the chilies that are growing on it are definitely bigger as well. Check out this glorious plant. This is the Frigatello, and I've already eaten a couple of them. You can see over there, they're a sweet pepper. They are so sweet and just absolutely delicious. This is another Carolina Reaper, a lot bigger than the other one that we had a look at. And we can see there are some beautiful peppers coming through with some stingers. And got some ripe peppers on there. Some of them are looking a little bit like ghost peppers or butcherloquias. And some of them have your little stinger on them. But you can also see there's a lot of the old damage from when there were aphids all over this. Now, aphids are not a problem at this time of the season because it's just way too hot in here for the aphids, so they're all dead. But the remnants of them are still here, and this looks a little bit bedraggled, but the peppers that are coming through are looking good. This here is a Naga Morik. I just love the look of these peppers. Lovely size as well. They could be a bit bigger, but just beautiful peppers and seriously hot. Very tasty though too. Let's have a look at my lemon drop cross peri peri. We can see that it's looking really healthy. We got some flowers doing some strange things still. There's a 5-petal flower. We have some 6-petal flowers on this thing as well. And I've seen a few 3 and 4 petals too. But I still have not got any ripe peppers. We can see that that's about as big as I have on this plant at the moment. But I'm hoping it's going to give me some ripe peppers within the next probably month or so. We'll just keep an eye on it. But talking of crosses, let's have a look at my little secret project that I've been working on. I started this plant off around about the same time that I started my peri peri cross with the lemon drop. Now, I always knew this was going to be a little bit easier because it is crossing 2 capsicum chinense varieties, so basically 2 superhots. I took a 7-pot Primo and a Moruga Scorpion chocolate, and we have our very first ripe pepper, and incredibly pleased with the fact that it has taken on the chocolate trait and not turned out to be a red pepper. So this is looking beautiful. It is still an F1 hybrid. I will be isolating some more of these flowers and growing them on to F2 and so on. And we'll see how we progress. Hopefully it keeps that chocolate trait and we'll have a new pepper. I have yet to name it. I will let you know when I do and if I do. But I'm happy with the little experiment and I'm happy that it has been successful. Two more chili plants to look at before we go and have a quick look in the vegetable garden. That is this one here, which is my indoor Poblano, which I'm doing a comparison with. I will do a dedicated video showing the two of these plants, but this is my indoor one. You can see that thing is pretty large. Now, the other Poblano actually was doing really well when I first planted it because it was just before we started having some really great weather. So we had about 3 weeks of beautiful sunshine and the plant was doing better than the one in the greenhouse. But as soon as the weather starts becoming like it is today, a little bit rainy and cold, then we can definitely see some problems. It's just not growing as much. Now, we have got a few peppers on it and that's quite weird. It's all spiky, bumpy. And we've got some more coming through. The plant itself is all right. I did get a few comments in the video where I started this experiment saying that you shouldn't be planting it next to plants like this, the courgette, because it's going to be taking up most of the nutrients. But I am feeding this with a lot of manure at the top dressing, and also when I'm watering it, I'm using a good nutrient feed. Let's take a quick look around at some of the things going on in the vegetable patch. So we have, oh man, that's no longer courgette, that is a marrow. We have some big ones over here as well. I'm going to see how big I can get them. That's huge. I have been picking the smaller ones, like I might just pick that one today for dinner. And it's so rewarding being able to eat vegetables from your own garden. We have a massive pumpkin starting over here. This one's going to be a beast by October, and looking forward to doing another Halloween special with my sauce and a pumpkin. We'll see what we can come up with this year. So I've left a few things to go to seed or to flower. These are my pak choi, and that's because I want to harvest the seed for next year and make sure that we can keep regrowing them without having to buy new seed. Brussels sprouts are looking healthy, and we've still got a few months before we get some. Not for me, of course, because I hate the things, but Mrs. ChilliChump loves them, so growing a whole bunch just for her. My marigolds that are coming out, they are absolutely beautiful. Make sure if you are going to be planting marigolds to get rid of aphids and things like that, that you choose the French marigolds, not the African marigolds, because those are the ones that will help you out with those critters. I am really happy with the progress on my trellis. I can see my gem squashes are trailing up the top there. They're not yet going right over the top there, but we can see they are doing quite well, and we've already eaten some of them. They are just awesome. If you're South African, you've definitely had these before, and they are amazing, lovely and fresh off the vine. But we can see it's trailing across. Hopefully it's going to come all the way across. This one here isn't doing as well, but hopefully when we have a bit more sunshine, it'll start stretching up as well. But we've got loads and loads of gem squash. Down here we can see a few more. So loads to eat. Let's take a look at the corn. We got lots and lots of healthy corn. Again, another favorite of ours. And hopefully when my family comes over to visit, we'll have some ready to eat. You can see a few of them starting out, still quite small. It's a little bit bigger over there, but I think in the next couple of weeks they will be ready and we'll be able to eat them on the barbecue or the braai. Like I said in the beginning of the video, things don't always go to plan, but you can choose to let those situations control you, or you can choose to control those situations. I always try and look for the positives in life, and yes, I'm not going to get the harvest I was expecting at the beginning of the year when I planted all my seeds, but I am still going to have a harvest. I'm still going to be able to make sauces for you guys, and I still get to enjoy all my plants. I get to come in here every day and check in on them, see how they're doing, and even better than that, I get to share that all with you guys. So all in all, I think I've had a great season. Next year is going to be much better though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, stay safe and stay spicy.